Welcome to Hate to Wait, where two lifelong dieters talk about their current struggles with weight loss. Diets, we've tried them all. We are not doctors, we don't play them on TV or on this podcast. Join our journey because we're all in this together.
Hello, Emily.
Happy episode 100, John. I actually read that intro without looking at it.
Did you really?
I said I couldn't, and then I decided halfway through the first sentence I'm going to close my eyes and hold my hands over, and it would make an interesting experiment, and I did it.
How about
same
that?
way I can read Goodnight Moon and The Very Hungry Caterpillar and The Going to Bed book without looking at the pages anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, that's the amazing thing about being young and having a memory. Where I can't do any of that. I can't. It's ridiculous. And yeah, look, we're at episode 100, which is kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Although, to me, it makes me nervous because this is usually when stuff goes sideways on podcasts. You ever notice?
You know what? I feel like that's your one bad experience, and that experience has really hurt you.
No, but I've seen it. I've seen it on other podcasts. I'm not just my
they get to
experience.
100?
Yeah, like episode 100, and then usually it's like, well, we've been doing this for a while, and I'm not really. It takes you 2 years to get to episode 100 if you're doing a weekly show. So it's 2 years of it, and then you're either in love with it or it's been a lot of work and it becomes a chore.
Yeah, I mean, this is the part in relationships where you're like, oh, should I be thinking about rings or the talk?
The rings with the talk. Absolutely. Yes. You're right. So here we are at episode 100. And as I was thinking about this, like all week, what to do with this. And as far as where we were going to go with the show, in this episode, I just wanted to go back to when we started this, first of all, I want to go back. The first thing I want to talk about is the picture that you put in the group.
Oh, yeah.
Of you. I guess it was a couple months after you had
after I had
the baby.
Cam,
Okay.
so 4 years ago.
Right.
It was the heaviest I was. I didn't know Mark took this picture of me. It popped up on our Google Home display. That's one of the really cool things. We have our Google Home display connected to our Google Photos account, and the Google Photos account will pull pictures of people who you want to show on the display. So we have our kids and we have us. So we have a lot of family photos that just pop up on the displays throughout the house. So one popped up of our son, and I guess it was taken around this time 4 years ago, a few months after he was born, and I was at my heaviest. I was at close to 280. I wasn't at 280 because I saw the scale going that way, and I was like, oh, that seems like a lot for me. I don't think I want to be that way. But so the picture was there, and then I finally got to do a real before and after, oh my gosh, those were my arms. That was my entire stomach area. Oh my gosh. I was resting the laptop on a part of my body that was I don't even know if you could call it a lap. It was like a plap. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't recognize you in the first picture.
Mm-hmm.
And so the journey that you've made in this past 2 years, 100 episodes is amazing. Now me, not so much as far as results, but more in getting really in touch with one of the reasons why I've always had these problems. And it's the longest I've stuck with something ever as far as trying to lose weight. Now, I haven't had the best success with a lot of the stuff, and I've had some setbacks physically, and, I've had some medical issues and stuff like that. But again, it's still 2 years and I haven't quit. I'm still working on it. I'm still trying different things. Some things work, some things don't. So that's why one of the reasons why we do this show is because here you are. If I would have done what you did at your age, I would be so much better off. But the longer you wait, the harder it is physically. I don't know about mentally, but physically.
I think mentally too, because you're so into those patterns,
Right. I've been, like I said, I've been trying to do the yoga. The knees are horrible. I cannot get through the pain. I guess it's the pain because after I get done, usually you would think you'd feel better. but it hurts, and then it hurts more later on, and it just doesn't seem to go away. So I gotta work on that, because I can't continue to go with it this way. It's almost becoming debilitating right now. And I was thinking, because I see the guy, there's a video of a guy, he's got 2 walking canes. He's got 2, like, it's like a crutch, but it's, I don't know what they're like canes, but they're attached to his arm, because he was a paratrooper.
Yeah, I know. Braces almost.
Yeah, the guy from the Diamond Dallas Yoga.
Mm-hmm.
And, so I knew his knees were bad, so he was doing it. I'm like, well, if he can do it, I can do it. And I don't know. It's making things worse. So anyhow.
I will tell you that when I was pregnant with my daughter, and I was about 8 months pregnant, and I was just a lump, and with both my pregnancies, I just balloon up. Like, I get into the high 200s with both my pregnancies. I did. And so I wanted to move, and I decided to watch a Jane Fonda video, and like a recent Jane Fonda video where she's in her 80s. She's had a hip replacement, a knee replacement, and I decided, like, that's what I'm going to watch because I'm pregnant. How hard could it be? She's 80. She kicked my ass. 80-year-old Jane Fonda kicked my ass. And you know what? I mean, you see pictures of her today. She's still kicking ass. And I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, I was 27 at that point. 80-year-old Jane Fonda kicked my ass. Maybe she's not 80. Maybe she's 70. She's close to 80. But I was like, that can't be good. I want to be able to be like Jane Fonda and like go to protests and hold up signs and just make funny faces, and people be like, see?
Did you go to any?
That's her.
Did you go to any protests? Did you march?
I didn't because we're so quarantined. We are like over the top quarantining just so we can have childcare with my in-laws. None of us are doing anything, because if we go out, like Mark and I aren't worried about us. We're worried about his parents, and his parents are our only means of childcare. And my mother-in-law, she is a retired teacher, and she said in the fall, she's like, if you want me to take the 3-year-old, if you're not comfortable sending him to preschool, we could start a preschool program. And like before she even finished and like told me all the things she was going to do with him, I was like, I don't care. Yes. Yep. Great. Wonderful. 3 hours, few days a week. Yes.
Get him out of the house.
Because I was asked, people have been listening to older episodes, and I was asked a few times, like, are you still doing the countdown till August 26th? And I was like, no, I have no idea. I don't know if the kids will ever go back to school.
I think they will. Mm-hmm. I think this is...
boarding school.
Well...
Kids are going to boarding school.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. I'm not wiping down my groceries anymore. I'm not. No, I'm not as crazy. I wash my hands. I try not to, like I said, don't try to touch my face. I wash my hands more. I'm not going into stores or anything like that. And I'm social distancing.
On the other screen, as you were saying, touching your face, there I go, wiping my nose. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm never going to get out of the habit because I'm just home all the time. So anytime I'm like, don't touch my face, I'm like, no one's around.
No, I get it.
Yeah. But it's hard.
Right. So for me, I think it's calming down here. Mm-hmm. Just last week, I had dinner with the kids, and I actually got a chance to hug the kids after 2 months. So that was so nice.
Do you know our skin actually goes through touch hunger almost?
Yeah,
like touch.
Yeah,
you're deprived of touch.
Mm-hmm. And I got to tell you another thing. It's been a rough 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And for me right now, and I know it's hard because I'm here and it doesn't sound like it, but I'm really, really having a lot of problems with depression. Mm-hmm. I cannot get motivated to do anything. Like I said yesterday, this is how I know when I'm in trouble. When the dishes in the sink are piling up and there's piles of clothes and they're not washed, I know there's a problem. I don't find the joy in anything, and everything is not a I want to do, it's I have to do. Mm-hmm. So yesterday, I was going to go down and do all the wash. And then I looked and I found a pair of pants that were clean. And I was like, wash day canceled.
Yeah.
So I was like, but really, that's not the way it should be. And again, I know I'm here and it doesn't sound like this is depressed. It's not now. Like I can come on and put the happy clown face on. I can talk to you. This feels better. But turn off the microphone and then go back out into the life that's going on here right now. I don't know. It's been tough. And I've been talking to Sam. Sam says you should go back to the therapist. I don't even know what I would even say to her. I don't want any kind of medication. I've tried that before. It makes things worse for me. I mean, I'm not saying anybody else should not do you. But for me...
Yes, on this show, hashtag you do you.
Yeah. I've tried several different types. None of it's worked. And I get weirded out trying to go on something at this age. I figured that the exercise would help. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I don't know. Maybe it's the pain that's the problem. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, the pain sounds like... That was the thing with exercise that really took me a while to get over the hump with. Like now I do daily yoga. And honestly, it's only because I know that, hey, I'm in charge of my yoga. If I do very gentle yoga, like right now I'm on... Oh, God, I hope it's the last day of PMS, but this season of discontent, the last 3 days have seemed like 5 weeks.
I've had a couple weeks of miscontent.
Yes. Yeah. But there are days like that where yoga, like I can't follow somebody else doing yoga, especially, it's weird. Like I can't follow somebody who I know is a professional because I'm constantly sitting there comparing myself. So it was like, even the box set that I had that I go back to all the time, because like this is the routine I do, is from a box set I had years ago that I just memorized the routine to, and it was Rodney Yee, and I'll put the link in the show notes if anybody wants it. But what I liked about it was in the background of walking you through yoga, there was the person doing the beginner, like the very modified absolute beginner. If you try to bend down and touch your toes, you only get to maybe your knees or your shin. Like she was doing that. And then the person on the other side was sort of the intermediate with the instructor in front doing like the intermediate and kind of showing you the different poses. And then the one in the back was more advanced. So she was the one who like, you know, when he was like, bend down and touch your toes, she's like arms all the way back behind her feet.
Palms on the floor. I hate those people. I'm just kidding.
You know what? I used to hate those people. And then I started becoming one. And then I was like, oh, this is it. That's the goal. I'm supposed to watch them as a goal, not as someone to make me feel bad, but as a, this is what you could become. And I needed that mindset shift.
Yeah, I'm only kidding. I don't hate when someone does that.
But I was with you. I was totally just like... show off. You been in this video? Yeah.
Show off.
Like it was such a show off. But the thing is, it's like, no, when you start to do yoga, you challenge yourself just a little bit. Like I feel like when people start yoga and they're just like, okay, we're going to do yoga with Adrienne. And they're just like, oh, the beginner yoga, that looks so boring. Guys, just do the boring beginner yoga. Just go with it. Then start to increase the intensity, start to increase the times. Because I've realized that my 10-minute yoga has actually turned into 20 minutes. Like it's the same routine, but I've been holding poses longer.
Oh, wow, that's great.
And I try new poses. And I didn't realize until like looking at the clock and looking at some of the time lapses, I'm like, I keep saying this is 10-minute yoga, but this is like 20 minutes, 25 minutes sometimes.
Well, that's great. I mean, that's fantastic. And again, the transformation that you have made in the 100 episodes, I couldn't be more proud of you and more happy for you. I see not only a change in you physically, but I see a huge change in you mentally. Yeah. And the personality is comes out more now than before because it was hard. We're introverts. Yeah. So to come on here and it's a performance. I don't care what anybody says. I know we're just sitting here having a conversation.
No, it is. We're very aware that we are live. We're aware that there's a chat room. We're aware of the fact that John will be editing this later. So a lot of the times we do things with a producer mindset of like, oh, by the way, make sure like take that out or something. Mm-hmm. And it is a performance because you're a host, you're a producer, you're an editor all at the same time. It's a lot.
Right. The hardest thing for me in the past 100 episodes was to be honest because we tend to downplay or upplay what's going on in our lives. And also not, so when I said, and I've said this 100 times on the show, when I feel it's too hard for me to say something or I shouldn't say something, I don't want to say something, that's when I force myself to say it out loud, just for the simple fact that someone else is listening to this right now. And hopefully they'll hear it. And then hopefully they'll say, oh, you know what? That's going to be me in 20 years. So maybe I need to start taking care of doing some stuff now. I don't want to be like that.
Well, a lot of the times we hear from listeners and they say, you guys described exactly what I was going through. I mean, quick example, the cereal we talked about a few episodes back, the cereal dilemma of you add more cereal, you eat the cereal, then you have to add more milk, then you have to add more cereal to make up for the more milk. Yeah, it's and people know that. They, and for a lot of us, these eating things, the things that we notice as people who love to consume food and eat, they can be very isolating in a weird way because we'll be like, oh my gosh, we really love doing this. Oh, I can't tell people this. They'll never understand. And it feels so good when somebody does, when somebody gets it. And it's like, oh, thank gosh. Because sometimes it'll seem like all of your friends that you're talking to in person, back when that was a thing, and even going out to lunch with people, nobody would sit there nitpicking like, if I have a strawberry, that's 35 calories. If I have a banana, that's 60 calories. Like nobody else, I would look at the table, like nobody else was doing that math in their head because they just kind of knew this stuff. So I knew that like, this is something that only people who have struggled with their weight and who struggle with their weight and diets and stuff like that, these are things that we know.
Right. So, and I've also had people who went through the back catalog and come on and say, oh my God, I can't believe, you talked about this and that's exactly what I'm going through. And to me, that makes all this worth it. Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. So you were saying you're coming out of the, what is it again? What do you call that?
Oh, the season of our discontent.
Season of our discontent.
Yeah. Hopefully Shark Week is coming like any second because.
Is that really a hopefully thing?
Yes, it is. It is. Because PMS mentally is almost so much worse than your actual period. Your actual period is like, okay, it's here. It's here. Now everything makes sense. But PMS, when you're just like, I'm crampy, I'm achy, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do anything. What's wrong? I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. Like you're just sitting there like, I don't know unless you look at a calendar.
Yeah. So that's been a big help to get, through some of this stuff. And then, so here's a perfect example. I found this way to make pasta in the Instapot. The Instapot's on the table. The pasta's next to the Instapot. I have not put the pasta and the water in the Instapot and then turned it on yet. That's all I have to do. It's ridiculous. I've got groceries now, and I feel pretty good about that. There's no anxiety about like running out of food or having to go do something. Everything's open up around here, so that anxiety has went away. I just got to kind of get back into some. I really do think it's the knee pain that's really stopping me because by the time I get, I don't know, anything done, like if I go into the kitchen and I'm cooking or whatever, it's just the pain's so bad that you start shaking and then you sit down and then it's worse the rest of the day. So I think maybe that's probably what it is, and I'm thinking I'm going to start taking some Tylenol, and I did. Well, this morning, I ordered some CBD cream.
Nice.
Pain cream.
That's what I'm actually using. Well, I'm not using cream, but I am using CBD for a lot of my cramps. And it is very nice. It is a very nice, alternative to ibuprofen. And as much as I love Midol, it has caffeine in it. So when my cramps normally aren't terrible during the day, weirdly, they're worse at night. So I don't want to take it at night. So you can't take that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and then I'm even thinking about going back and trying to get some cortisone shots in my knees again. Just to take the pain away for a little bit and see if that makes it any different. So that's where I'm at. And, so did you say something about something you had planned?
Yes. I have a game for episode 100. Okay. You talked a few episodes back. You missed Classy Little Podcast and Classy Little Podcast Emily and her creativity. And I miss her too a little bit. So I'm going to try to bring more of what I'm going to call big fun to hate to wait. Big fun. It's called Big Fun.
I like big fun. To hate to wait.
The reason it's called Big Fun. Do you remember I talked about Russian Novel Hour and my coworker that I used to make fun of for sitting there with her tea looking out the window and being very quiet and reserved, and she was right all along. 20-year-old Emily was an idiot for making fun of her because she was right all along. She would also come into the office, and she was one of those office people who would just be like, hi everyone, who brought the big fun? And we're all hungover, nope, not today, no. But I'm changing it. I'm taking back big fun I'm adding a big fun segment to Hate to Wait. And what I have, John, I would like you to be our guinea pig for real or fake diet.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Audience members, you can also play along. The points don't matter and there are no prizes because I didn't think that far ahead. So you have to tell me if these are real or fake diets. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. In 1727, Thomas Short published The Causes and Effects of Corpulence, and he observed that living near a swamp makes you fat. Real or fad?
I'm going to say real.
That is real. That actually did happen. And I looked at the history of it, like the 1727. How many people could you possibly talk to in 1727?
A handful.
Right, exactly. So he deducted that because out of the handful of people he talked to, the fatter people live near swamps. Clearly that was the reason. So that was a real diet fad. Don't live near a swamp. Of course, it was fake. All right. In the 1840s, there was the gold rush diet. When people went out to California and they would write back, they would talk about the weight loss they had on their journey of traveling 2,000 miles and eating only beans, rice, dried meat, dried fruit, crackers, coffee, and tea for 4 to 6 months. Was this a real diet fad?
I'm going to say no.
No, it was not.
How about that? Look at me.
Look at you!
I need a ding here or
The
something.
gold rush diet. I know, I was really proud of coming up with that, of just like, I'm just going to pick a thing in history and make a diet out of it. The gold rush diet. I almost called it the Oregon Trail diet, but gold rush sounded better.
Okay.
Okay. In the 1930s, when Prohibition was repealed, they noticed that the alcohol made people gain weight. So they created a healthier alcoholic drink called the Fat Flush Fizz. This was soda water, grapefruit, and low-grade alcohol, which was made from leftover moonshine. Fat Flush Fizz, real or fake?
I'm going to say that's real.
That's fake. That's an Emily original.
You know what made me think about that? Because did you ever remember the soda Fresca, which is a diet soda that's a grapefruit diet soda?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
My mom used to drink Fresca all the time. So when you said grapefruit, and grapefruit, there's a well, I don't want to say anything because
no, the grapefruit diet is real. The Hollywood diet is real, based on the grapefruit diet, and that's actually what I based this idea on because that came out in the 1930s around the same time.
See, that's why I thought that was true. You used enough.
I know. I'm so smart.
You used enough to get me to say that might be true.
I know. I love coming up with fake things. I found out because I did this for live stream for The Cure. I came up with fake movies and real movies, and I had such a good time fooling people. All right, next one: slimming soap. This came out of London, and there were different soaps called Fat or No, Fat Off, and obesity soap, and flesh-reducing soap was my favorite one I found. And basically the instructions were, rub on yourself on the problem areas and take the fat off.
I got to tell you, to me, this has to, it 100% sounds like it's not a thing. That makes me think, see, I'm overthinking this because it makes me think it's a thing. So, but I'm going to go with my first answer, and it's not a thing.
It is a thing. It was a thing. Fat off, flesh-reducing soap. The ads are hilarious.
I got to tell you, boy, would that be great if that was actually true, if that actually worked.
I know. One of the ads was like, make sure to send for your book of testimonials. And it's like, no, that sounds stupid. I don't want to send for a book of testimonials for soap and then have to, like, oh man, we are so spoiled by Amazon Prime. If you told me, like, I'm going to send you a book of testimonials, I'd be like, no, get that garbage out of my mailbox. No.
Yeah, I don't care about that. That can be made up so easily.
I know.
And apparently these were all made up because it's not a thing.
All right, next one. Chewing and Spitting. This is out of 1899, a book called Glutton or Epicure. Chewing food at 100 bites per minute to turn it into liquid, but then spitting out any solids. And this was invented by Horace Fletcher, who had the nickname the Great Masticator.
I got to say that's true.
It is, yes.
You know why? Because people do it today.
Yeah.
Like they'll do it today. They'll eat a piece of pizza. They'll chew it, and then spit it out.
Yeah. Well, actually, it was nice. This one was interesting because you could eat the liquid, but anything solid you had to spit out.
Jeez. You know what that was? That was the first juicing diet.
Yeah. All right. Straight out of the 1960s and 70s, the LSD diet, where you skip a meal, you take LSD instead. They found LSD reduced your appetite because scientists believe it could be... Oh, and because scientists believe that it could expand the mind, some therapists use it to help patients with their weight loss and getting in touch with their food addiction.
Okay, so now I'm trying to get into the mind of Emily. This is not even it's not even a quiz anymore, whether it's true or false.
This
it's
is
the
really
getting in the
how well
mind.
do you know Emily?
Right. So, okay, so in the 60s, they used to have the amphetamine diet. So, in other words, they gave you uppers. My mom was on them. Mm-hmm. And they gave my mom Black Betties in the 60s to lose weight. And she's like, I don't know about these pills, but whenever I take one, I can clean the whole house in like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you knew that. So, I'm thinking that is false.
Yes, the LSD diet is false. But the methamphetamines, they loved those.
Oh, that's where the song Mother's Little Helper came from.
Oh, really?
From the Rolling Stones. Yeah, from the Rolling Stones.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this next diet is a newish diet called the werewolf diet. Ingesting only water and fruit or vegetable juice for 24 hours around the full and new moons. So every 2 weeks you do this diet.
I'm saying false because I think I would have heard of that.
It is true.
Get out of here.
They are likening it to a form of intermittent fasting where you do a 24-hour fast every 2 weeks.
Huh.
Yeah. It's not... Okay. It's like not very well researched or well, a lot of it. Demi Moore swears by it according to, the article I read.
I don't know. She's looking more and more like a werewolf every time I see her.
All right. In the 1980s, Mattel came out with Barbie diet cookies called Be Healthy, and the bee was in the shape of the Barbie logo bee. For a short while, when aerobics became really big and everybody loved aerobics Barbie, they also introduced healthy cookies that included a few extra vitamins for kids, but not actually very healthy.
I'm going to say false.
It is false.
Because I would have remembered a Barbie cookie.
I would have too. I thought that too. I'm like, I feel like he'll get it because this sounds like something we would remember.
Okay.
All right, last one. The negative calorie diet. This is the idea that certain foods take more calorie to eat and burn than they have. So, for example, celery, broccoli, and cabbage, you take more calories to eat them and burn it off than they actually are. So, this diet promotes eating those foods a lot to counteract any other calories that you are eating.
That is true.
That is a true diet. I will say that according to Mayo Clinic, there is no scientific evidence that it is that effective because you shouldn't be eating just one food. You will not get the nutrients you need. And while negative calories, the idea is true, it's not actually how our body works. So that's our quiz. Good job, John. Good job, Jennifer, in the chat room. She's playing along with us. Guys, anyone playing at home, we really appreciate it. We hope you had fun with that.
I'm trying to think of some of the diets.
Hopefully we didn't get any ideas.
Right. I'm trying to think of some of the diets that I've been on that were like actual diets. Like there was this one, it was called the Great North American Diet. Mm. Then there was one that was called the soup diet, the cabbage soup diet.
Yeah, that was part of the research of the negative calorie diet was cabbage soup diet was a part of that. Mm-hmm.
Then there was, everybody's heard of the South Beach diet. Mm-hmm. But there was the other couple. I did Nutrisystem, which was ridiculous. And
why was it ridiculous? Because I remember it like having such big hype. Or what was it? What was Nutrisystem? Was it
Nutrisystem? Was you'd go there and you'd weigh in, and then they would give you a bag of food, and that food was your food for the week. Well, that was it. Oh. So you had breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a snack, 2 snacks. Mm-hmm. Well, they were. If you're used to eating. Yeah. Then that wasn't that didn't work too well. So, I mean, I remember being out of food like Wednesday, and I'm like, what am I going to do now? I would definitely run out of snacks too soon. But again, it's all that, portion control and, and Weight Watchers, that point thing, that never worked for me because I was always trying to count points. How many points was this? And I didn't like Weight Watchers. And now listen, if anybody on here is doing Weight Watchers and you love it, I'm not poo-pooing Weight Watchers. I'm just saying it's not good for me. What was the other one that...
There's Atkins.
Oh my God, I did the Atkins diet.
Yeah.
And the problem with the Atkins diet...
Did you do the modified one or like the original Atkins diet?
The original
where the guy
Atkins diet.
Died of a coronary.
Well, see, that's what? So that's a little bit misleading because he did die of a coronary, but that doesn't mean it was because of the diet.
I thought it was. I thought they actually found out that it was because of all the meat he was eating. He wasn't actually getting like the nutrients he needed.
Plenty of people,
I thought he was putting a lot of pressure on his heart. I could be wrong, and I don't want to spread.
If the economy crashed tomorrow, we'd all be out hunting squirrels and whatever, and we would be eating meat, and there wouldn't be vegetables, and maybe you could make some grain and bread, but that would be really, really. Yeah. That would be something that would be like that would be a treat. You wouldn't get much of that at all. Mm-hmm. So it would be all meat and vegetables and stuff like that. So here's the funny thing.
I love this in the chat room. We're talking about other diets people have
been on. The LA one.
LA Nutrisystem,
Jenny Craig.
Yeah.
Oh, and then there was this one where this lady was crazy. It was the Kimkins diet. I did this one.
I did this one.
The Kimkins diet I lost over 100 pounds on. Mm-hmm. And all that was you couldn't eat more than 30 grams of carbs a day. Mm-hmm. Okay? And then people would people's hair was falling out. God. They would get that brain fog and all this. And then what they found out was the science on it was right. People were losing weight.
Yeah.
And after you came through the brain fog and the low carb, or what's that called? The carb flu.
Yeah.
After you came through that, you've got energy and stuff like that. But the problem was she was like this really obese lady, and she was using pictures she got some random pictures of a Russian dating site. Oh. And she was putting them up as a before, and she found one that looked heavy, and she put them up the before and after. Wow. And she was making all this money, and then all of a sudden people found out, and they lost their minds. She got sued. I mean, you can't even go on there. If you look it up, it's still there, the Kimkins diet.
Oh, and if you guys like that story, you guys will love Liar City. Like, that's pretty much Liar City, is telling stories like that. Because I'm fascinated. I'm just like, oh my gosh, tell me more.
Yeah, and she had, there was a chat room you could go into. I met a lot of friends. There's some people that I still know.
Oh my gosh.
On the internet that are all due to Kimkins. And then there was this other thing. This was this lean lifestyle. And Dave Jackson got me hooked up with this one. Dave knew this guy. His name was David Green something. All right. And I was listening to Dave's show. I think I was listening to the Logical Weight Loss show. And we'd go in there, and the guy, I was like, this is what I need. So I went in and I signed up for it. You had to pay for it. I forget how much it was. It wasn't cheap, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to go through this. And they had a website, and you'd put your diary in and all this. And then you would have these meetings, and there would be videos. And
so, she was a good businesswoman in theory, but not.
No. This was the one. This is a different one. This is called the Leanless. This is the Leanless Lifestyle, the one Dave Jackson got me involved in. It's not Dave had him on the show, and I got involved. Matter of fact, this is how funny it was. I was listening to this thing at 12 o'clock midnight. I was listening to the podcast, 12 o'clock midnight. I got up, shut off the podcast, went to the computer, and signed up.
Wow.
So I signed up. The problem was that if you didn't lose enough weight, he'd kick you out of the program. Yeah. Like, let's say, if you weren't doing it, he'd kick you out. And you paid for it. And I was like, what's up with that? Like, I paid for this. I want to get to the end. Whether I do this or not, whether I make it or not. He's like, nope, you're out.
Wow. You say you like negative motivation, but that just sounds like torture.
Well, something? You want to get me to do something? You want to get me not to do something? Tell me I have to. If you make it like this whole shut-in thing, I don't go out, but now they tell me that I can't go out. I want to go out. Yeah, I want to go out. I'm just, that's how my brain's wired. That's kind of, if you tell me, I used to say to my ex-wife all the time, she would get me to do something by telling me, you can't do that. Like I would say something, you know what, I'm going to fix the deck. You can't do that. Now I have to. You just insulted my manhood. I have to go do it. Elizabeth was saying, yeah, Nutrisystem, it was expensive. It was expensive. It was really expensive. It was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And, the food wasn't cheap either. So you would go in there and you'd have a counselor and they would pick your meals and your everything. So, but yeah, that was the kind of common diets we were on. So, and then so far right now, I still, and the keto diet, that's another one where it's kind of really low carb and where they take all the processed food out of, what you're eating and it's more natural food. And if you can stick to it, it works.
Yeah.
It really does work, but it's hard. It's hard to stick to something like that.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think it was good that I at least tried a lot of different diets, because by the time I got to intermittent fasting, I actually had a good baseline for like, okay, I can do this much. I can't do this. If they're going to tell me to count anything, it's going to take way too much brain power. I have kids. I don't have time to count I need something where there's no counting. No math involved, please. No.
You know what? I'm going to tell you something. I don't mind the meat diet, the Atkins diet. To be honest with you, that was the easiest one for me to follow.
Yeah.
Because, it was just meat and cheese and butter.
Yeah, I actually didn't mind
eggs.
Terribly restrictive diets because it was just like, okay, I just won't buy that food.
Yeah, and then the Kimkins diet was it the Kimkins diet or was it the Atkins diet? The Atkins diet, I think, was you could eat as much as you want.
Yeah.
Like if you were hungry, like say you were hungry, they'd say, you want to eat? Hard boil, a dozen eggs. And if you're hungry at 2:00 in the morning, get up. Have a couple hard boiled eggs.
Mm-hmm.
Go in and have some lunch meat and cheese, but not like salami or anything like that, like turkey or roast beef or.
Yeah. Yeah, that was when I did Trim Healthy Mama. That was one that was very similar, low carb, no sugar, no real starches, but you could have as much protein as you wanted. If you had protein in a meal, you could have as much as you wanted. And you ate every 3 hours. That diet, I actually ate a lot more on than any other diet I had been on because you were supposed to eat every 3 hours. You were supposed to get at least 10 grams of protein. And you either had fat with your meal or you had carbs with your meal. You couldn't have both.
Yeah, the Kimkins diet was I would go on a Sunday and I would boil like 6 chicken breasts, a bunch of eggs. I would make egg salad, chicken salad. I'd have lunch meat and cheese that I would roll up. I would have the roll-ups already in a bag. I lost 100 some pounds on it. I'm not going to lie. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know, all the things that we do. But what always tripped me up was the mental part of it.
Yeah. That was the key. That was the key that I needed. I needed the mindset shift. I really, really needed that mindset shift because, and I see this in not only dieters, because it's weird, like dieting and podcasting, like there's very similar mindsets actually, where people are just looking for that one tool, that one pill, that one diet, like the one thing. And what they're not focusing on is, okay, you could get a better mic for your podcast, or you could go out and get this expensive exercise bike that everyone's talking about. But until you work on your mindset to be able to either sit down behind that mic and do your podcast or sit on that bike and pedal, it's not going to do you any good.
Yeah, because the new podcast that I've tried to start, I've done 10 takes of episode 1.
Episode 1 is the worst. I feel like start out with episode 2 and then go back and do episode 1. I'm serious. Like, that's a mindset thing. That's honestly how I write sometimes. Is if you give me a blank page and like I want to write a story, I'm like, once upon a time. Oh, fuck. I hate once upon a time. I hate setting up the story. I hate the exposition. I'm just going to write the scene that I really want to write and get it out of my system. And then you kind of build everything around it.
But the thing with this is it's ranty. It's too ranty. It's even too ranty for me. And like I said, I can do a good rant, but like when I listen back to it, it's so angry. Oh. It's not funny. It's angry.
It's angry.
Yeah, like usually my rants are angry and funny. There's no funny in any of this. And so I've listened. There's one episode where I listened to it and then I would write jokes off of it. And then I would go and record it again with the jokes. And then I'd listen to it again like 3 or 4 times and say, okay, can I get any more jokes out of this? No. Okay. And then I didn't like it. So then I scrapped it. But it's just one of those things where it's hard to settle down. I think it's mostly because of what's going on. and how aggravated I am with what's going on in the world.
Trying to make sense of what's going on in the world is just, it hurts my brain.
Yes.
Like, I see a new thing and I want to ask why, but I know that I won't get an answer that still makes sense. It won't make any more sense to me if somebody explains why something is the way it is anymore.
I know. I hear
Like,
you.
conspiracy theories, not even fun. Not even remotely fun to read or look at, because I'm like, hell if I know, it could be real. Don't
Right.
know anymore.
Absolutely.
Sounds plausible to me. The Gold Rush diet all over again.
Yeah, that was cool. I like that game.
Yeah, that was a fun
I
game. So
love
I'm
that
going to
game.
try and bring some more big fun.
Big
Maybe
fun.
games like that. I'm going to call it big fun.
I'm gonna have to come up with a sweeper for big fun.
Oh, if it's not my old coworker walking in all peppy with her tea going, who brought the big fun? It's not going to be where I am.
Right.
But I do love big fun. We're going to have big fun on this show, guys. Big fun. I'll bring it every week. So if it's not something like a quiz, maybe it'll be a funny story, maybe a little diet anecdote, maybe a dieting tip. But one of the funny things about being in maintenance is I have gotten a few people asking, oh, so you're in maintenance. So what are you going to do with the show? And I'm like, still going to do it. Maintenance is freaking hard. It's really hard. It's almost harder than losing weight.
Why is it harder?
Because you know what it is? It's a new normal. And it's not even a new normal because of COVID or anything. It's, okay, we're no longer losing weight, but this doesn't mean that we get to go back to exactly what we were doing when we were 270, 280-ish pounds.
Right.
Like, that's not what coming off of a diet is. I don't want to get, because I yo-yo dieted too. Like, I could complain about these diets and how they didn't work and stuff, but I also have to point a mirror at myself and be like, right, but when you stopped the diet because it wasn't working and you gained a pound one day and decided to throw it all out the window, it wasn't the diet that for the next 3 weeks you said fuck it and ate whatever and gained the 5 to 15 pounds back. So right now for maintaining, I'm still in my window. This window, the 6-hour window that I have with intermittent fasting, where I eat during 6 hours out of the day and for 18 hours I don't eat, and that's fasting. It's worked to maintain my weight of what I am right now. And the other reason why I really like to maintain is I'm so sick of buying new clothes and all my clothes fit right now. Like I don't want to. I bought clothes all winter as I was shrinking, and then I would have to buy warmer and warmer clothes because I was getting colder and colder as I was losing my fat. And I was like, why am I losing weight? I hate being cold.
Yeah. I mean, the chat just fired up. It says, the temptation to go back to past eating is huge. If it isn't a sustainable way of eating, you're screwed. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So that's actually why maintaining is just like, okay, I'm not doing intermittent fasting to lose weight anymore. Like I have my 6-hour window, and I'm actually giving myself a lot of allowances in that 6-hour window of just like, okay, it's Shark Week. It's the season of our discontent. There's a reason we bought the special chocolate. Like, and that's another thing is I'm not just using like my body as an excuse anymore. Like, fuck it. PMS, pint of ice cream. That's where we're at. It's like, no, okay. This is coming up. I'm looking at my calendar. See, I'm planning right here. Looking at my calendar. This is coming up. Mark, do me a favor. Put the really good chocolate on the shopping list, the dark chocolate with some sea salt, and it's delicious. I just need one little bar, 140 calorie bar of that. And it like, okay, it comes Shark Emily.
Yeah. I mean, I was trying to figure out why it would be harder. But I can understand that it's the new normal and you're trying to maintain it.
Because I finally got into that weight loss mentality. Like I could do weight loss. I could lose weight.
But you're not trying.
But I'm not. I don't want to try anymore because there's too much going on. As soon as homeschool got like really crazy and potty training set in and doing more stuff with work, trying to grow the business and just everything in the world, it was like, you know what? I'm good. I've never said this before. I'm pretty happy with my weight. I like how I look in pictures. I like how I look in the mirror, and I like how my clothes fit. Those are, I feel healthy. Those are pretty much like the 4 things I was looking for with weight loss. And if it's not like that goal weight, why did I even set a goal weight of 138 of like such a weird arbitrary number of just like, that sounds like a perfect number. That should be what I am. Yeah, totally. But I'm like, no, I'm kind of happy at like 40 pounds heavier than that. In fact, I'm worried about losing weight because the more I lose weight, here's another thing. The faster I lose weight, the faster I age. Oh my gosh. I woke up and I was 37 going on 60 one day. And I was like, oh my God, the fat acted as Botox for so long. Oh, I didn't realize that I missed having a fat forehead, but I look over and I don't even realize this giant what the fuck wrinkle that's been getting deeper and deeper as the older I get, the older my kids get. And the less fat I have to hide this what the fuck wrinkle right here above in my forehead.
I'll tell you what, ladies, I don't know. I'm so glad I'm not a woman because no guy doesn't give. The only thing we would care about is like if we had jowls, like something that hung down like Deputy Dog. Yeah. That's what we would care about. I mean, a wrinkle here or there. What's the big deal?
It's not even the wrinkles. Like, I'm almost weirdly proud of the wrinkles because I'm like, oh man, look at that. Good. If I ever do go back to smoking, I won't get carded again. Wonderful. But it's the whole fact that, like, when I had a fat face, I didn't age. I was like perpetually 23.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think honestly, I got to say, I think you look younger now.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yes.
That's nice to hear. That's
Absolutely.
Really nice to hear, actually. Because I felt like my face was just all chub and it just looked like a giant baby.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Good. No. So, yeah, I think, again, women, they look at every wrinkle, every blemish, everything.
That's the other thing. See, I'm focusing on the bad. I know better than that.
Yeah. I don't know. I think, again, you look fabulous. I just see a huge change in your personality. You might even have to lose the moniker of introvert.
I thought about that, but I recharge in isolation and in quiet. And I do get to the point, even in parties. Oh, I'll tell you this. I went to a socially distanced party and we all sat 6 feet apart and nobody hugged at the end. And there was very little small talk because you had to get your voice across. So there wasn't like, so the weather, it's like, do I feel like shouting this? It was my favorite party I'd ever gone to just for all of those reasons. And it was like, oh, great. We're done with the food that we brought ourselves that nobody judged us for like filling a plate with because fuck it, it's my food. Oh my gosh, I had such a good time at that party and I didn't have to hug anybody. I got to go home and I was like, I'm not even socially drained. People weren't in my bubble. There were no close talkers. I loved it. I loved it.
You know what we haven't done yet? Winning Wednesdays.
Winning Wednesday, Winning Wednesday, Winning Wednesday, Winning Wednesday.
Ingrid said, I hit 50,000 steps the past 4 weeks. Note, it's 50K a week.
A week.
A week.
Wow. Jennifer says, last year I bought a few pair of jeans at a yard sale. Levi's for $1 each. I can't pass up a good deal. One of them was a pair of size 12 skinny jeans that became my goal pants. They hung in my closet judging me for a year, but I was able to put them on this week. This is a victory for me. Hooray!
Wow. Yay. Skinny jeans. I don't even think I would even try to put on skinny jeans.
Skinny jeans.
Joshua says, lost 15 pounds since mid-March.
Ooh, that's awesome. Claire says, another 7 days, 16-8 done, total 15 days, no binges, and more movement every day. Feeling so much better in myself and another 1.3 pounds gone, a total of 13 pounds to top it off. Thank you both for an awesome podcast and being my inspiration. Claire, we are so happy to have you in the chat and listening. Thank you.
Absolutely. Zoe says, getting my OMAD back.
It's 1 meal a day.
Oh, one meal a day.
It's a form of intermittent fasting where it's 1 meal a day. It's a giant meal, so nobody write in.
Yeah, it's a huge meal. Yeah, I've done them.
Yeah.
Getting my 1 meal a day back on track by using the app 8 to track my meal. 8, A-T-E, as in I ate a big bowl of tapioca pudding. Back to the to track my meal with a photo. It also has an option for working on mindful eating. I'm working on taking a couple deep breaths before starting my meal. That's a good idea.
Yeah. You know what? There was a bunch of games that I did with my eating coach when I started this, and she taught me some of the sort of to gamify eating because I was very prone to eating very quickly and not paying attention, and adding mindfulness and taking a few deep breaths and really tasting the food and taking time to be like, this tastes sweet, pretending you're sort of a food connoisseur or a food critic. That's another way of mindful eating. I think I tried to do that with Classy Little Podcast and drinking wine, like thinking, oh, if I study wine and talk about it, I won't drink it as fast and get drunk. No, that's false. That was false. I studied wine and then got drunk and became a wine snob to everybody to be like, stop swirling. It does nothing. Dumbasses. Gulp, gulp, gulp. Yeah.
I still eat like the Simpsons. It's like they shovel it in.
Monica says, walking before the alarm for the morning exercise and meditation routine. Who does that?
You do, Monica.
You do?
And then Maggie says, down 2.8 this week and got to see a new middle number, tracking my calories each day and building exercise into my morning routine. That's fantastic.
Oh, new middle number.
Love a good new middle number. Ingrid, I did it. I lost 50 pounds, down 4.2 for the week. That's amazing. 50 pounds. That's congratulations.
Yeah, that's amazing. Claire said managed 3 days back at work so far without falling into the work equals chocolate trap. And she thanks the group on Monday for some emergency support. She came into the group and talked about having chocolate there, and it is tough. Oh my goodness.
Absolutely.
She said she's still eating well and moving more. Total of 22 days, 16/8 intermittent fasting, and 15 pounds down in 4 weeks. Yay!
That is amazing. Dave says down 0.5 pounds. I'll take it.
Yup. Becky says down 4 pounds, rode my bike Sunday 16 miles. Wow.
Mariana, down 3 to 4 pounds after a sudden and weird spike.
Brenda says 2 water aerobics workouts done. Nice.
Well, I'll tell you what, I really would like to be able to get back in the pool and start swimming again. I think that would be the best exercise for me, but there's no pools. You can't get any stupid COVID. Teresa says, still flat.
That's still good. Maintaining is hard. We talked about that.
Right. I'll tell you what, Teresa, her Facebook, she has the Bob Ross Chia Pet head, and she's doing different movie scenes.
Yeah.
I absolutely adore them. I love them. They make me laugh every time. She's really good at it.
Yeah, she's doing this new thing where she's taking a picture of an inanimate object and then she's illustrating around it. Have you seen those? She did a sneaker the other day. She turned a fork into like a rocket ship. Oh my gosh. It's
Why
fantastic.
am I missing that? I'll have to go back and check that out.
Yeah, and don't worry, whenever we talk about Teresa and how much we love her art, we always put her links in the show notes. So head over to the show notes and get those links. Follow Teresa. She's fantastic. She will brighten up your day. I'm honestly really happy. I follow a lot of artists on Instagram and social media lately. Like that for me has made it easier to like see art.
You know, I'm just thinking out loud. Wouldn't it be cool if Teresa gave us a background for like in here?
Oh my goodness. Oh, for this
frame. In here?
That'd be interesting. Yeah.
That would be interesting because I'm a big fan of her artwork. But anyhow. All right. And where are we at? Oh,
Monica finished week 6 of Bar Blend. 2 more weeks of the program left.
And Jennifer has a before and after because she finally got a haircut and feels great.
Nice.
That's an amazing amount of hair to have cut off.
It's been a long quarantine.
But you know what it is? You don't realize how fast hair grows. Okay, remember, I stopped shaving my head about 3 weeks ago. And I have this like spiky hairdo now where like it's sticking, my hair's sticking straight up. Like I guess it's like a crew cut, you know, and I can't believe how fast it grows.
Stephanie says she lost another half pound, so 9.5 pounds total since mid-April. But more importantly, a lot of my junk food cravings have gone away, and I almost forgot to eat sometimes now. That's huge.
That is huge.
Yeah. I've done that a few times when my window is closing and it's like 5:30 and I'm like, oh, I should eat. And then I've forgotten and I'm like, oh.
Damn it.
Yeah.
I know. Elizabeth says, day 11 of 30 days of yoga challenge. My friend found it on YouTube. doyouyoga.com.
Do you yoga. Okay, .com. So we'll put that in the
show
notes. That's awesome. And Wayne bought a WISE scale, and that's WISE, WYZE scale. I'm not sure yet what all the different numbers mean except for the weight. I guess if you track it, it'll help you lose it. So that's exciting. We'll see if we can find a WISE scale. Stick it in the show notes if you guys want to check that out.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, I mean, are we doing a weigh-in? I mean...
Yeah, let's do a weigh-in. Let's do a weigh-in.
Just double checking.
Yeah, I'm fine doing a weigh-in.
Ladies and gentlemen, now is the time for the moment you have all been waiting for. It's time for the weigh-in.
Well, 100 is an even number, so I get to go first. And I'm flat. Well, I lost 3 pounds last week. So I'm flat from the 3 pounds I lost last week. So there we are.
Well, let's do a
Oh.
doo-doo. But you're still down 3 since last episode. That's exciting.
Yes.
I am, even though I am in the season of our discontent, I have lost and gained 0 pounds this week. So I'm maintaining. Woohoo!
There's a dude for maintaining.
I was so excited getting on the scale and I'm like, it's PMS. Nope. And I get on and it's like, right, exactly like 0.0. This is your weight. This is the same weight you were last week. And I'm like, oh. I almost questioned if my scale was broken, like if it was just stuck on that number. And if it were broken, if I would even care.
I mean, everything still fits the same. So, I mean, I haven't really noticed anything where, it's just really small spots for me. But I think that I got to do something about. And I don't know what I'm going to do yet, to be honest with you, about the depression or trying to get out of this. I don't know if I got to try to exercise more. I do think I have to try to get rid of this pain. I think the pain, because it's every time I go to stand up or every time you have to go to the bathroom, you don't realize how much your knees hurt until, because every time you move, if you go to the bathroom, you got to go in the other room, you forgot something. Like, do I really need it? It's stuff like that. Like the other day, I walked in here without a pen. I took it in the other room and I needed to write something down. I was like,
yeah.
And I sat here for 5 minutes. Normally you just get up, go get the pen and walk back. And you're like, for 5 minutes, do I really want to do this right now? So I think that might help. I don't know. But again, shout out to my Samantha because she has really had to put up with a lot. And she's a trooper. So, and she said to me, try to go back to the therapist. But again, when we were talking about eating, I had more to say. But this stuff, I don't even know where to start. And I definitely don't want to go back writing material. Like before, I used to have to think of material to go talk to the therapist for an hour. I was like, I'm doing an hour a week here. This is crazy. I could be headlining somewhere.
Maybe a coach too, because with a coach, like it's not just therapy where you're talking it out. With a coach, they would actually ask you. I don't know. Maybe therapy would be different because I know with coaches, they ask you questions and they make you give the answers. Like they don't tell you what to do. They ask you questions like, so John, like they'll get really deep and be like, okay, John, it's time for you to allow yourself to get a little uncomfortable right now. Where does it hurt when you say you have depression? Like physically, where does it hurt? Is it your chest? Is it your head? Is it your shoulders? Where do you tense up? Like
it's not a hurt. It's not a discomfort. It's just a numbness. There's just there's a numbness there.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's not a hurt. It's not a pain. I can do other things through it, but it's just, I don't know. That's exactly where it's at. But again, we'll revisit this next week. I got some things that I'm going to put on I think I'm going to talk about trying to get I think I'm going to try to get cortisone shots again in my knees. I haven't had them in probably over a year.
And Claire had the question, have you tried DDP yoga?
No,
Chair
not yet.
yoga.
No, I'm going to try that.
Yeah. Because I think
That might help.
maybe just not putting pressure
Just
on your knees.
The pressure on my knees.
Yeah, just focusing because chair yoga is good. I used to love staying home from school and watching Sit and Be Fit, which was like the old person exercise show where they got in a chair, and I loved it. It was great.
I qualify now. So like even now, if I'm sitting here and I straighten my leg out, if I just straighten my leg out, it hurts. You know, they say, okay, well, on a scale 1 to 10, where is it? It's a 4. It's a solid 4. It's a solid uncomfortableness. So, and then if you go to take and drag your leg back up again, it's like, oh, it's crazy. Sometimes it even makes me nervous about driving because I got to go from the gas to the brake real quick. Can I make it? Claire also says, I found it really helpful as a starting point as I wasn't holding up my own weight, but I got movement. That's a great idea. I'm going to give it a try. Thank you, Claire. All right, so that's it for us. We've been on here for almost an hour and a half. Our 100th episode might be our longest.
I know. It was long.
Thank you so much for listening. And if you're listening to this as a podcast and would like to join our group in Facebook, we'd love to have you. Just go to hate2wait.com/Facebook. And there's just one question to answer, and you're in. And we have a great time there, a lot of support. We really appreciate our group. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back here next week.
Later, waiters.